and welcome. You are listening to The Lie, Nama podcast. I'm Gunjan.
I'm Rajiv.
Rajiv, I received one very interesting poetry which said men are underrated in love.
Okay.
Rather, it said men in love are underrated. That was the whole thing.
I see.
However, I believe anyone who pulls love with simplicity is underrated. Men, women doesn't matter.
Why do you say that?
So there's this quote that way to men's heart is through his stomach. If a woman doesn't know how to cook, does it mean she doesn't love her son,
Or the man,
husband,
or the man is not a foodie.
See, it's not that the person is a foodie or not. In general, eating is directly proportionate to gaining weight or getting out of shape, or you have to work harder at gym. So let's keep that, like, that's a discussion for some other day.
No,
That
I want to stick to the topic that we started. Right? So
that
when you
men in
say
love are underrated,
yes,
and or anybody
persons,
who pulls love with simplicity. See, that's what is the synonym, that men, they're simple, they don't express much, the communication style is very different. Women will express, men will show it by actions. They'll not say it much, but their actions will communicate a lot.
yes, that is what they say.
Right. And again, if you look at our media, we have two very different industries. One is TV industry, one is film industry. TV industry, where you idolize women and fantasize men, and TV industry is exactly opposite of that. And there were times when girls were like really longing that maybe we want, what was this movie of Shah Rukh, Dar? We want that kind of love. It's like now when you pause and reflect, you're like,
Stalker.
what is crazy?
You want a
You want a
stalker?
psychopath in your life. But yes, somehow I feel that media has a very big role to play. The way we dream, the way we, not just digital media, TV and all, even books, the kind of books we used to read at that time. We had a very different expectations from men. However, real life is not like that.
So there are
And
multiple things that I think we need to discuss here. So one is that the definition of all these terms, like what is love and all that, changes over time.
I hope we are not increasing the syllabus for anyone. People will not curse us.
So it's the definition, right? So like if you look at the books that you read, or the example you gave about the Shah Rukh Khan movie or other movies, or even the history where the charming prince who will take you and run away on a horse or something, more like a kidnapping. If you see today it will be called kidnapping, but earlier it would be expression of love, rescuing or whatever, right? So for a person who requires somebody as a companion, an intellectual companion, for example, for that person, he or she, doesn't matter, would want a love that actually fulfills that requirement. For, like you said, for a man, like what was it, that path to man's heart is through stomach?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Something like
But that would be applicable to a foodie. If a person who really, really loves good food, not everybody may give that much weightage to food. Food means that if it is edible, you will eat it, that's fine. Whether you cook a 9-course meal or you give a very simple homemade, whatever this thing for that person who's not a foodie, yeah, that's fine. If somebody is more into physical activities, for him or her, love means that person can go on hikes, travel, sports, or whatever. So I think what we are always confused by are this multidimensional thing called love, and we want to compress it into one person or one activity in itself.
So, Rajiv, what you're trying to say is that if a person loves hiking or biking or anything, and we are giving that person that much of time. Is this love or is this sacrifice? That, okay, you
No,
go ahead
no,
and
it
I'll
is
take
not
care of things.
sacrifice. No, it is not. No, see here, I'm not saying that giving the other person time to do what he or she loves is love. It is that's a meaning of companionship, and I would say not even companionship. I think it was more of a giving space to each other.
And we
Because
all need. Yes.
yeah, in a relationship, there are two people. And I say that, the I should not get lost in we, because if I is lost, then we cannot exist. So we have to have two individuals. We have to have space around two individuals. The challenge becomes what is the right balance. Some people think that no, once you are in a relationship, you are tied at the hip, like you become co-joint twins. Whatever you do, both of you have to enjoy life. Your perspective should be exactly the same. All of that should be the same. And on the other extreme, it can be that, we are together because we want to be together, even though we are 280 degrees opposite individuals. So that's a challenge of relationships and of love. And I think I touch upon this subject in one of the stories that I bit whole in my book Conversations. So I take two extreme and I try to bring that perspectives, together. So the issue is more about how you as an individual, for example, what is love for Gunjan? What does that mean? Or for me as a person, Rajiv, or for anybody of us. Your definition will be very different from my definition, will be different from some other person's definition. But the problem is that we all are trying to converge on one single definition, which is the problem, which is why we have all these poetry and all these stories and all the other things. If
And
everybody
sarcasm.
agrees on,
And
everything,
sarcasm.
everything,
I want to
because
talk
there is
about
no
the
sarcasm, there is no debate around 2 plus 2 equal to 4.
right.
Everybody in the world, everybody agrees to, okay, no debate, nothing. 2 plus 2 equal to 4 is that's the truth. That's a mathematical truth. That's you can say universal truth. So you cannot write any stories, weave around, this thing around 2 plus 2 equal to 4. But emotions, love, hate, desire, all these things are subjective, very, very subjective.
And I want to touch upon the emotional depth of love. There's this very famous comedian from Pakistan, Umar Sharif. So he narrated this joke and it was really funny then, but now I think it's like, okay. So it goes like that, a woman, she'll have 10 kids, still she'll cry, ki sacha pyar nahi mila. I did not get true love. Now I want to ask them, you really don't know the difference between having kids and being actually in love? They are two separate things. And again, when we talk about emotions, we just talk about being physical. We really do not talk about those feelings that one is feeling or one is longing.
Yeah, so the two things that you're talking about. So I agree with you that the joke actually has a very deep meaning in certain aspect, right? That if you look at the society, social norms universally across the world, it is assumed that the moment you get married, you are bound to be in love. It becomes the love becomes a punishment rather than something to rejoice and enjoy and cherish. Even, this is where I think if you look at even the marriages that happen, which are like by choice, love marriages. Although I would say almost all the marriages happen by choice unless somebody is putting a gun to your head. But even those marriages where you choose your partner and you have, quote unquote, you fell for each other, those marriages also struggle a lot. They go through the same ups and downs, whether you, like in, Asia, we do arranged marriages or whatever. Now you do it through the social apps and all that. The challenges are still the same. So where does love disappear? Having children together? Is it love? Having a house and living in the house is love. Enjoying your 3 meals a day together is love. Enjoy a vacation together is love. I don't know. Because during that time you may be enjoying each other's company, but when you get back home and you look at the bills, you are screaming at each other.
Bills and responsibilities and chores, there's a lot to it which contributes. But yes, again, the thing is that we are talking about men being underrated in love, or any person who doesn't express themselves with flowers, with food, with fancy dinners, fancy holidays.
You are I think taken a cheat sheet from my wife. She complains.
Yes,
That
she texted
she
me,
must
"Can
have
you please
messaged
talk
you
about
that,
this
hey, Gunjan, make sure
topic?"
that you bring these up.
Right, that you know, even if it's a love of brother and sister, it's always like sisters, they love their brothers more. And how much brothers are protective about their sisters, nobody talks about it.
Yeah, so so essentially I think the main thing that you're trying to raise is that the expression of love is different.
Yes,
Whether it's men or women, I would say expression of love is different for each individual. I may express my love in a certain way. Now, the other person may or may not appreciate it or even not get my signal, or vice versa, right? So anybody would be, and that I think is the main complaint. I think the main complaint, based on what the poem that you mentioned, and other sarcasm, satire, and everything, is that when you express your love, the other person is not expecting that expression, but is expecting some other expression, and that's the conflict, or the I would say contradiction.
and that's what I want to ask here, that are men given enough credit for their emotional depth in relationship?
I don't know. I think so. Well, see how men express emotions and versus how women express emotions are two different things. And there's a very good book, I think, called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. It's an old book. It tries to bring up these differences in men and women expressions, and all the key psychological differences. But these are very well documented things. And the unfortunate thing is that we don't actually pay attention to them, because we are always expecting that the other person or other people would be loving me the way I expect to be loved. If for me, the expression of love is, flowers and fancy dinners or fancy vacations, the other person may be doing 10,000 things, but the value is zero. It's like if you are in US and you may have a crore rupees, the value is zero because the other person is expecting $1.
I want to bring attention to a thin line between love and people pleaser. Do you really love that person, or you're just feeding his ego, his or her ego?
Yeah, trying to just please.
Yes,
Like
whatever
you're
you're
trying to please
saying.
your manager.
Yeah, whatever you're saying. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Yes, I will. There's a difference between maintaining your own dignity and pride.
So actually, no, I don't think it is dignity and pride, which may be a different topic we can discuss in terms of how you stand your ground versus not stand your ground, or where and the situations. But I think in terms of love, you actually have scratched another surface. That when to identify who is a people pleaser versus the person who is actually exhibiting love. It's a like you said, it's a gray zone. A person may be actually exhibiting love by trying to please you, but on the other hand, you may find it very irritating because you are expecting some maybe pushback, or maybe
Some space for myself.
some conflict, or some or anything
Disagreement, yes.
other than, like let's say you say, that, hey, let's go for a movie, and the other person says, okay, let's go for a movie. You like the movie? Yeah, it was really good and fantastic. But you sense it that it is only exhibition, not the substance. There's no substance behind the exhibition. And that you will get your gut instinct and you will, that will irritate you. So that actually goes back to being authentic in what you do and how you express. Even if, let's say, somebody does not like what you do, but is giving you the space to do what you want to do, I think that is an expression of love.
Very true.
Versus somebody doing something just to show that, hey, even though I don't like it, but I'm doing it for your sake, then it gets into the moral burden and sacrifice and compromise and putting your, what's the right word here? That trying to show your value more than the other person, that, hey, see what I'm doing for you and what are you going to do back for me?
Yes, just sowing that
That is
seeds
not
of,
love.
yes, just sowing that seeds that, okay, I'm giving you liberty, even if I like it or don't like it. And then again, who are you to give that liberty? I'm a separate individual. You are a separate individual.
Yes. And also, it's not a transaction.
It's not a transaction.
And that's where I remember we talked about the sacrifices and compromises. I think it covers here very well that if you do anything for the other person which is not authentic or genuine, and then you will call it a sacrifice and compromise in the relationship, and the other person will get the signal of being burdened by this love of yours, and now he or she has to pay back, and then all this cycle of stupidity begins.
And yes, talking about transaction and love, and then there is one very sweet thing like innocent love. If I'm busy back-to-back meetings and I just do not even have time to get a glass of water, it hardly happens, but there are days when you're swamped with work, swamped with meetings and everything. My son, he'll fix a sandwich for me, make a chai for me, and then he'll bring it for me. That's his way of expressing love. However, when my husband comes home, he'll start solving maths problems because dad will be happy to see that. And he'll have more love for him. That's his way of expressing love. And then when we talk about, we were talking about transaction and everything, when he was young, like really young, a lot of mails used to come from schools for donations and contributing here and there. We had a target that, okay, you'll do a chore that you're not expected to do, and we'll pay you for that. That was really a transaction that he's cleaning a table, he's helping me in cleaning a fan, we are doing the window slides, folding laundry, whatever it is. I would pay him for everything except for making tea. And he used to ask me, Mama, you pay me for everything, and tea is the thing that you love the most. You do not pay me for that. And I say, it is priceless. I cannot put any amount on that. All these things are like, okay, you're helping me. Fair enough. Good. But that is something which I cannot put a price on. That is price. Mama, you're too philosophical. I'm like, whatever it is, but I really cannot put a price on a gesture that I love the most. So yes, this was
So see that's exactly what it is, right? So everybody will express love towards different people in different ways, whether it's child, whether it's adult, whether it's whoever. Even parents will express their love towards their children differently, towards a younger child versus the elder child versus the boy, girl, or whatever.
Younger one is adopted or picked up from the mandir, or we are not talking about younger kids.
I can see that I touched on
all love is given to the elder one. Nothing is left for the younger one. We are not even going there.
Yeah, we will not go there. But yes, so the thing becomes that where does the love become a transaction, where it is how to appreciate authentic love, not just appreciate, but first to identify authentic love, which I personally don't think that anybody has the capacity. At least I don't know. I have, I say, in a sarcasm or jokingly that I don't have a capacity to be loved, but I think that I have yet to see somebody who can.
Love comes in moments, Rajiv. We look for longevity, and that's where the problem is. We don't enjoy that moment. We get in that trap of expectation. Earlier you used to do this, earlier you used to do that. We get into that trap.
You said something fantastic. I had to think about it. But yes, you are absolutely right that it's like the momentary expression which we expect to last a lifetime, which will never happen.
And that leads to
And we
disappointment.
never enjoy the transient. It's like it's a flower blossoming, and we want to see our garden 24/7 blooming, but we don't appreciate the flower for a day.
This morning,
Very nice.
yes, my garden, it has very nice shrubs, but it has bougainvillea as well and hibiscus as well. Bougainvillea and hibiscus, they have disappeared somewhere. I don't know. Leaves are there, flowers are not blooming. And this morning only I was saying that everywhere it is there, it's not coming in my garden. And then again, it's the same thing that my expectation, I'm not really appreciating the flowers that I have, but I'm longing for the flowers which will come in a month
Or were
or so.
there.
Or
Or were
yes,
there.
were there. And now I'm like, oh my God, where have they gone? And I like hara bhara, phala phula. Like my garden will always be.
Yeah, so actually it's a very, I have to think of you've like given me some food for thought that yes, what we are seeking in longevity, but we are not appreciating in its
That
momentally.
moment.
Yeah, that moment. And yeah, I think you're right. Maybe that is what love is. And we miss that moment because we are always looking for the long-term expressions.
Well, Rajiv, it's a moment of pride for me. And we will end the episode on this high note. I know
So what's the moment of pride?
that I have given you a food of thought.
Okay.
It's an
Thank
achievement
you.
for me. It's an achievement for me. You are a deep thinker and you have already written about so many things and you have touched upon so many genres. So
That
yes,
is
it's a
just because
moment
you
of
are my
pride for me.
fan.
But thank
But
you. Thank you so much for listening. Do visit our website, thelielama.com, THELIELLAMA.com. We'll be more than happy to host you. Rajiv, couplets from your end because this show is incomplete without that.
Well, I'm going to recycle, I think, one of the earlier one because it kind of touches this thing, but not directly related. But let's see how it goes. So हम उस एक घर की तरह हैं जो रोज साफ तो किया जाता है लेकिन उसमें रहता कोई नहीं.
That's very profound and very deep, but thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.